Does that look familiar? Have you found yourself when you're chipping that you kind of either fatting it in front of your face sometimes and leaving it there, or sometimes thinning it? You might get away with it like I've just done there, but you're not getting those lovely crisp strikes that are just popping up onto the green and rolling out to the flag. Well, this was the case for one of my clients this week, Martin. He came to me actually with some swing issues that we wanted to work on, and he said, well, my short game's not been very good, Danny, can you have a quick look? And we had a look, and this is kind of what it looked like. Some duff shots where the ball's heading up and just landing in front of his face, and then the odd one which is firing through the back of the green. And I gave him one simple drill which I'm going to share with you in this training that worked literally immediately, and you know, I was surprised as he was, and I said to him, you know, I don't know whether I should share this on YouTube because I don't know whether anyone would believe how simple this is and how effective it could be. But I thought, sod it, let's give you this exercise, because I think if you learn it and you practice it, it will be very effective for you too. So let's have a look now at what we did and how we were able to transform his chipping in probably 10 minutes max. All right, let's have a look. So here's what we did with Martin. So what we went straight into is I gave him this simple drill that works immediately. Now I use this exercise quite a lot with a lot of my clients. It can take a little bit of getting used to initially, but once you get the feel of it, it's amazing. So before we get into the drill, let me explain to you what he was misinterpreting about how to chip. So he'd been told that ultimately you've got to get the shaft lean in here, you've got to get the hands ahead, and when you're swinging, you've got to keep the hands ahead through impact all the time. Now that's fine. The problem was when he was doing that, he was getting way too much shaft lean, and the leading edge of the club was simply digging into the back of the ground behind the ball and simply fatting it, right? Now when you're pitching, it's very important that, or chipping, it's very important that you understand how the wedge works. We do not want the leading edge digging in at all, right? What we want is the whole base of the club here, right, bruising the ground through the impact area. Now the question is, how do you go about doing that, right? So what we gave to Martin straight away was this. We actually told him to take his left hand off the golf club and grip down just with one hand and get him to start swinging the club one-handed, right? Now bear in mind, he'd been taking lots of chunks out of the ground. Now straight away, I got him to hold it very lightly. It felt a bit strange for him, and I got him to simply swing backwards and forwards here, one-handed. And straight away, we got this beautiful clip, right, where the ball's clipping up in the air, and he was like, wow, I haven't hit a shot like that for ages. And if you look at here, there's no mark whatsoever on the ground. But why is that? Why does this one-handed exercise work so efficiently? Well, I want to show you something. When you're chipping here and chipping one-handed, what do you notice? The club, its head itself, is moving reasonably quickly, okay? But what about the butt? The butt itself is not moving very much at all. So the handle of the golf club is staying pretty steady while the club head is moving a lot. Now this was completely the opposite to Martin and a lot of the clients I'm coaching when they're not striking it very well. What a lot of people are doing is, because of this misinterpretation of keeping their hands ahead, what they tend to do is they swing and they move the handle lots, but the head isn't moving at all. So what happens is they swing here, they get the hands ahead, and they end up digging into the ground. Worse still, watch this. When you swing back, if you move your handle forward, what happens to the club? At impact now, the club head is too high, right? So watch this. If I move my handle here, this way, the head itself comes up. Now from here, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but have you found that you dip sometimes? You found yourself like, almost we call it a chili dip, where basically your knees are going a little bit and you're jumping at the golf ball? Well, one of the reasons for that is your hands have gone forward, the head's come up, and now the head's too high, you then have to try to get the head back down on the ground. Watch this. You don't have to do that when the hands are back here, right? So what the key thing with this is, what we got to do is get the head of the golf club working a lot more and the handle working a lot less. So it feels like you're actually releasing the golf club, which is counter to a lot of the things that we've been taught, right? So when we finally we got him to do these exercises, got him to hit some balls one-handed, and he was consistently getting this wonderful clip here where the bounce here is just bruising the back of the ground. Now, when he was doing this, he then said, okay, well, can I put two hands on, right? So as soon as he put two hands on, he immediately lost his strike. And immediately what happened was the leading edge would then get stuck again into the ground. So what we did was said, okay, why don't we just put the left hand on, but do it gradually. And what we're going to do is we're going to put the left hand on and put it on really lightly. Because what we don't want to do is when you're here, look, you start to get that handle working forward. We want the club head to be swinging, right? Now notice what I'm doing here. I'm allowing the club head to swing through the impact area here. Yeah, I'm allowing it to swing, so the handle itself is finishing much closer to my leg here, and the club's out here. I'm not finishing like this, yeah? Let's have another look at that. So we continue with Martin, and we got him to keep the left hand very light on the golf club, just swinging the club head, feeling the weight of that club releasing through the golf ball so that the leading edge didn't get stuck in, but instead the bounce of the golf club started to bruise the ground here. Okay, and as he did this, you'd suddenly see here the ball was just clipping off. There's absolutely no mark on the ground whatsoever. But we didn't just stop there. What we do as part of his practice is we'd alternate, because he would clearly lose the feel of it, right? And you might do too, right? So we got him to grip down the golf club with his right hand, and we got him just again return back to swinging the club head just with his right hand here. All right, weight still favoring the left side of fraction, backwards and forwards, just allowing the club to swing through freely here. And you can see here, that's popping up lovely. I'm not making any mark on the ground. A couple of things just to watch out for though, right? So we've seen there, look, what's happening here when we're swinging, the club is swinging freely, the butt end of the golf ball, the grip end here, just swinging, and then when it finishes here, it finishes very close to the pocket and the club's out there. At no stage are we trying to get this motion here, right? But the other thing what I was doing as well was I was making sure that Martin wasn't staying too still with his head, right? A lot of people have been taught to keep their head down, and they'll end up doing, they become very static here with their legs and their torso, and it all becomes a bit wooden. We want this flow to continue, look, through into the legs and the chest. So we're actually flowing through the shot here. Much more relaxed, isn't it, when you do that, right? It's much more natural when you're chipping here and you're allowing your head and the body to flow through. Far more natural when you're playing the shot. It gets the club stable and flowing through impact, as opposed to the jabby, stilted look that you might see with a lot of golfers when they're chipping poorly. All right, so let's summarize there. So what did we do? What was Martin doing right at the start? So Martin was clearly hitting those horrible fat shots where the ball's jumping off and leaving it in front of his nose, and every so often he would thin. Why would he thin? Because what happens is this: he's leading the handle way too much here, and then all what happens at the last minute, he flicks it with his hands, right? So what are we got to do? We've got to, again, move the handle less and allow the club head to move more. Is this tricky? Not so much when you swing one-handed, but what we do like as human beings, we love control, right? And when you let that club head swing a bit freer, particularly if you've not been chipping very well, it can feel a bit reckless and a bit dangerous, and it can feel a bit wrong actually, right? So you've got to get the feel of it. You've got to start to build some courage and some trust in what you're doing. You've got to allow that club head to swing much freer. You might not be used to that, right? So start with one hand. Allow the club head to swing nice and free, let the butt stay very close to the leg here, and when it swings through, a good checkpoint here is when you're swinging that your legs are turning through, your chest is facing the target now, and the butt is very close to your left or lead pocket, right? Start with one hand here, backwards and forwards, just get the club swinging through. And then once you've done that once or twice, then what I would do is then very gently put your lead hand in, barely at all really, right? Just feel, so you almost, it's just there just for the sake of it. And then start to allow the club again to swing backwards and forwards, get a feel for what you're doing. And then we go back and through. And that's when we start getting that lovely crisp strike with no digging into the ground. It's a lovely rhythm. It's a great way also, because it's rhythmical, it's like throwing a ball. It's a great way of learning distance control. If you're jabbing in and jerking it too much, you can never judge distance control, let alone strike. Okay, let's have a look at some close-ups. So I hope you enjoyed this training. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you think some of your friends might enjoy or need a bit of help with their chipping, don't forget to share it. And of course, if you're enjoying the content and you'd love to receive it in your inbox every week, don't forget to press the subscribe button and the bell. And look, if you've got any questions, comments, then look, put them in the comments box below. Head on over to my website, ask a question over there, or head over onto Instagram and ping one over there. But until next week, have a great golfing week.